Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. And I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button as well. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me on my live streams that I do most weekdays, or outside of my live streams, you can consider joining the Discord I created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also, if you are interested in getting some ideas of the meals that we eat, there is a link to a Pinterest board down below that has some of our family's favorite whole food plant-based meals. If anybody has any non-scale or being weigh-in Wednesday, any on-scale victories they'd like to share today, I'd love to hear your scale and non-scale victories. If you are on your diet and you're succeeding, I'd love to hear how you're doing on your diet. If you've fallen off track or you're waiting to get started, I'd like to know what's keeping you from getting started or what's keeping you from getting back on track. And what steps are you going to take to make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? All right, family, it is weigh-in Wednesday. And that means it is time for my weekly weigh-in. Today is day 571 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. A quick recap. I started this challenge on November 1st of 2020. I had a starting weight of 519.8 pounds. Last week, after having a 1.6 pound weight loss, I weighed in at 301.6 pounds, bringing my total weight loss to date to 218.2 pounds. I'm going to go ahead and hop on the scale right now and see how I did this week, and we will talk about the results. Wah, wah, wah. $304.6 means I had a 3-pound gain. Oh my, that is not what I want to see on the scale. But that brings my total weight loss to date to 215.2 pounds. Yeah, it was kind of a frustrating weigh-in there, huh? I am not surprised. I knew that for the last few days that my weight was higher than I wanted it to be. Something that I've said in the past that is absolutely the case is that when I'm 100% compliant with my diet, I lose weight. And when I am not 100% compliant with my diet, I have issues. And this past weekend, I made some choices that I did not think would affect my weight as much as they did. But obviously, they did cause me to gain a little bit of weight this week. Jacqueline says the nut butter, it was probably the nut butter a bit. I did end up eating a lot of Ezekiel bread with nut butter this past weekend. But I also had some things with sugar in it that I don't think helped. And probably as a result of the sugar, there was also some sodium in the products that I had this weekend. It's part of the process, I guess. And I didn't talk about it much before today, but I have whatever with me that going to movies triggers something in me to just not care about what I'm doing at the theater. And I went to the movies this past weekend, and ended up having a soda that had lots of sugar in it. And then I had some candy as well that had a lot of sugar in it. And it immediately, I did not eat 3 pounds of candy or 3 pounds of soda, but by introducing those chemicals and that stuff into my body, I believe that it caused me to retain a lot of fluids, and that I am just suffering from that, and it was just one choice I made. It was a 2-hour period of time, and it caused this kind of gain. I think also having those things may have caused me to eat more later that day than I would have normally. But it's frustrating because it happens anytime I have something with sugar or sodium in it. And I feel like if I had sodium regularly, like if I did something every week where I had sodium or sugar, that my weight would still come down. But because my body and my system was cleaned out of that stuff and I wasn't retaining any extra fluids or had any extra weight, that it's just such a dramatic shift. So I'm going to move forward from it. I'm very motivated to have a good weigh-in next week, and I've already made I've reset. I've gone back to where I was, and I feel great. And I definitely reduced the volume of food. I'm going to real quick say hello to everybody who said hello in chat. Carrie, Jane, Pretty Girl's Mom, Aunt Day's Kitchen, Jacqueline. Thanks everybody for checking out the broadcast here. Pretty Girl's Mom says the cashews and mangoes probably didn't help. I ate 2.5 pounds worth of mangoes. So maybe that's what's in. I have 2.5 pound bag of mangoes in my stomach that my body hasn't pushed through. Also, we had that huge container of cashews from Costco this weekend. I absolutely ate a ridiculous amount of volume this weekend. So those probably had a little bit of a factor, especially the mango. Well, actually cashews, a lot of real high calorie too, but, but it's just a compounding factors, Jacqueline says, been there, done that, just reset. No worries. Yeah, I'm back on track. I'm very committed now. I hate seeing the scale go up. I've been hitting these great milestones with the channel. I have so many more people watching me now than I had for the last 9 months where I've been dealing with this. And for me to have gained weight 2 times out of the last 3 weeks, it's really frustrating. But also, before a lot of you guys started finding my channel here, the 2 weeks before that, so 3 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago, I lost a combined 15 pounds in those 2 weeks. Carrie continues to blame this on that fasting that I do, and it probably plays a large factor in how the scale, what happens on the scale, because I did not stop eating this week. Whereas the last 2 weeks, I didn't eat much on Tuesday or Wednesday. And this week, I had planned on not eating last night. And then I just said, you know what? I don't want to deal with that weight gain. Because, if I wouldn't have eaten dinner last night, I might have lost another pound or 1.5 pounds. I'd be 1 pound or 1.5 pounds lighter. I still was going to have a weight gain, but then I always have that rebound where I go home Wednesday night, I eat a ridiculous amount of food, and I end up being 4 pounds heavier on Thursday than I was on Wednesday. Hopefully I won't have that happen this week because I didn't fast last night. I actually had dinner, and I will pop that up real quick to show what we had for dinner last night, because I know a lot of people are curious about what we eat. But last night we had Spanish rice and beans. That is the wrong that was the wrong button. Here's the button. No, that's the wrong button too. There it is. Finally got it figured out. Spanish rice and beans. Absolutely love this meal. So filling and really hits the spot. Has lots of spice to it, and is a great meal to have. And I had 2 bowls of this last night. So I did not restrict myself last night. Again, had I only had 1 bowl of it, I might have been a 0.5 pound lighter than I am today. Had I had none of it, I might have been 1 pound lighter than I was today. But it just wasn't worth it. I knew that I was going to have to come on stream today and face the music, but that's what this whole channel is about, is showing the ups and downs and the successes and struggles throughout the whole process, and not just kind of show a snapshot at the end about what was going on. So that was dinner last night. I finished off the bag of the oranges that we had. There was only 2 left, but I had 2 of the, I think they were called Gold Nugget oranges. They say bumpy and lumpy on the case or on the packaging. Very sweet, very good. This morning I did not have oatmeal, but I did have 2 or 3 Halo oranges, the smaller oranges, and then some cherry juice. And also, not that it's a huge deal, but I usually don't drink a lot of water during the day. And today I ended up having to drink a little bit of water because I was working with some cleaning chemicals, and I was breathing those chemicals in, and it was really not good for my respiratory system and my throat. So I did drink a little bit of water today, but again, it wouldn't have been any measurable amount of difference on the scale than I normally have. So that was food from yesterday to today. And again, I don't regret anything either. Like, that's something that I'm frustrated that I gained the 3 pounds, but the experience and being at the movie, I don't really regret, because I get to hang out with my kids and stuff, and them seeing me not be a militant kind of dieter probably is healthy for them in some way as well, because 99.9% of the time I'm very strict. They have been very, they always ask, if I'm, does that have salt or sugar or things like that, but, so I wouldn't change this past weekend, for the most part. I guess if I could have reduced the amount of other stuff I had, like if I could be like, okay, I'm going to do this, but then you can't eat 12 slices of Ezekiel bread this weekend, it might have made a difference as well. So anyways, I'm not too upset about it. It just gives me even more motivation to have a strong week next week. I think that I've done a good job the last couple days of just kind of sticking to dinner and not snacking, and not, I got rid of all the snacks too, because I ate all the mango, I ate all the cashews, I ate all the Ezekiel bread, and I actually finished off a loaf of the bread and one of the jars of the Crazy Richard's nut butter. And so right now I think I'm just going to not open the nut butter. If we have another, I don't even know if we have another jar of it in the pantry, but I'm just going to avoid opening that and just kind of stick to eating the oatmeal for breakfast, the waffles sometimes for breakfast, and then having dinner and trying to limit any snacking I do. If I do end up needing something or feeling like I need to fill my gut, then maybe just sticking to the shredded wheat with the soy milk for now and see how that does. And I truly believe that a lot of this is water retention that will go away, because it's just because of the chemicals that were in the crap that I ate, A bunch of comments here. Auntie's Kitchen says that sugar and sodium are really big appetite stimulants. They are. For most of us, that's why they put it in the food. Yes, that is salt, sugar, and fat. Those are the 3 things they put in the food to get us to come back and keep eating more. I find that, I did that like midday. And so the rest of that day, I was fighting myself for making bad choices or eating more food. And so instead of making too bad of choices with the food I was eating, I just ate more of the food that I find is healthy. Stand in Hope says, no worries, happens to all of us. It's great that you keep this accountability going. Yes, absolutely. I knew for the last 3 days I was going to have to get on here and say something. I've been lamenting doing it for the last 24 hours, but I knew I had to face it and just show you guys it's part of it. It's, as long as the trend is going in the right direction overall, that's really what I have to be happy about. 18 months ago, I was 215.2 pounds heavier than I am now. So it's just a longer process than any of us want it to be. I wish that every week I got on the scale that I was 2 pounds lighter, and then everything would be great. But it's not how it works. Some days you get on and you're 5 pounds lighter. The next week you get on, you gain 2 pounds. Your body holds on to fluids, gets rid of fluids. It's a crazy thing. And that's why I don't allow the scale to bring me too much stress. I mean, it's really impossible for it not to bring me some stress, especially when I'm doing things the way I'm doing them here. But I can't, it would have been very easy for me to skip weigh-in this week, or find an excuse not to weigh in this week, or make up something as a reason why I couldn't weigh in, or just be like, hey, it's going to be a gain, so I'm just going to weigh in next week. And a lot of people would have been okay with that, and they would have been fine with that, or they would have accepted that. And that's just not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to be accountable, and I'm trying to create show all sides of this whole thing. If it was easy, every single one of us would be skinny. That's really, the way I feel about it. Let's see. Jacqueline says major weigh points 300 are stressors. Yes. Yeah. Getting to that kind of goal, that's why I pushed so hard before my birthday. I fasted for probably 5 out of 14 days, or even more than that, leading up to my 40th birthday, so I could hit that 300 pound mark. And I was only under 300 pounds for that, that half a day, or that day that I got on the scale. And then that night I went home, and the next day I was 302 pounds. So, yeah. And 300 is absolutely a huge milestone for me. And for me to hit under there, and eventually I'm going to be under there, and I'm never going to bounce back over it, and I won't have to worry about it anymore. And then 250, or actually 275 will be the next one for me, because that was the weight limit for my wrestling in high school. But and then every 25 pound increment after that's going to be a stressor to try to get under. And I did that water fasting to get under there, and your body reacts funny to water fasting sometimes. It doesn't want to be without, just like you don't want to be without food in your pantry. You'll start stockpiling food if you start seeing that the shelves are getting bare at the store, and our stomach and our digestive system's that same way. If it starts seeing that the food coming in is getting shut off, or it's scarce, then it's going to start holding on to things, or it's going to start storing things on you. Courtney says water weight. I hope it's water weight. I'm assuming it's a water weight. Cause I mean, it's not water weight. It's the food I put in my body, and 99% of the food I put in my body, I'm not real worried about. And the one thing that was predominant in the food I ate this weekend was sugar. And I am, I'm less worried about the sugar than I am the salt and the oil. I need to get back to being as worried about the sugar as I am the salt and oil. But there's a lot of people that eat, high fruit diets and high sugar diets that still are able to lose weight. I think that getting the fat out of the diet is the biggest part, and the cashews didn't help. And so maybe having the sugar gave my body the energy I needed, so it took the fat from the cashews and it stored it. I don't know, but it is what it is. Spanish rice and beans sounds delish. It is awesome. Definitely one of my favorite staple meals that we have. I highly recommend that if you get into this way of eating, that you find yourself 5 to 7 kind of meals that are easy for you to make, that you can kind of call your staple meals, that if, that you always have those ingredients in the pantry, so that if you're scrambling or trying to find something to make for dinner, you have the rice, the beans, and the Rotel tomatoes that you need to make the Spanish rice and beans, or there was a few other things, the mega veggie chili, you just make sure you have those veggies on hand so you can make those items. And then start experimenting, pick up cookbooks like the Plant Powered Families cookbook or the Esselstyn's cookbook, and try different menus from their cookbooks every week to keep giving yourself a variety. And maybe you'll find a recipe that's in those cookbooks that you turn into a staple recipe. I mean, that's where all of our staples came from. I mean, Spanish rice and beans is pretty easy to make and common, but like the Mega Veggie Chili is from a menu or from a recipe that we found. The rosemary rice and sweet potatoes is from a cookbook. The Linda's meatloaf is from a cookbook. Those are all things that we have on a fairly regular basis that we got from different cookbooks in different places online. Let's see. We all struggle. Aunt Day says we definitely all struggle. I'm really kind of glad that I only weigh in when I go to the doctor's office. Knowing I have a scale in my truck is driving you crazy. Yeah. There's a lot of different trains of thought with the scale. And I think that if the scale is going to cause you stress, to do it however you need to do it for your mental health, because that's a big part of this. If you're, I think I got whatever was in my mouth out. I don't know. If I didn't, I'll be digging into my mouth again here in a second. There we go. Got it now. That was awesome. Yeah, so the scale. If it's best for you to do the scale that way, absolutely do it that way. I personally, I guess I have a different relationship with the scale, and it might be because I was a wrestler and we weighed in all the time in high school. Like I would weigh in during wrestling season, you get on the scale every day and you check your weight, and it was just kind of part of the things. If I was super paranoid about the scale, I would weigh in first thing in the morning, right after I go to the bathroom, before I eat any food for that day, and I would strip down naked. I'm not going to do that on stream, maybe on my OnlyFans page, but I don't have an OnlyFans page. But I wear a different weight of clothing. This shirt might be heavier than the shirt I wore last week. These shorts might be lighter than the pants I wore last week. Who knows, but, and so it's a tool for me. Like to me, the scale is a tool, and I am using it to gauge how I'm doing. And that's really the best thing for me. I have read in the Dr. Greger book, How Not to Diet, that there have been studies done that do show that people that weigh in on a regular basis do tend to have better success with weight loss. The best analogy I kind of can give it is that if you're a stockbroker and you're trying to make money on the stock market, and you have money invested in a bunch of different places, or you're trying to, you have a business and you're trying to grow your business and you're trying to earn as much money as possible, you would check your bank account every day. You check those stocks every single day, and you make the decision for the rest of that day or for the next day based off of the results you saw when you checked those numbers. And I feel that same way about the scale. Is if I weigh in every day, I can kind of make decisions based off of that. I maybe not make the best decisions. I might still make poor decisions, but I generally make those poor decisions on the weekends when I don't have a scale that I'm checking my weight on too. So there might be a correlation between that. But do whatever's best for your mental health. And that is what I would say about using a scale. I know that, and I feel amazing. Like if I wasn't using the scale, the only other thing I could do would be to judge on how I feel physically. And I feel awesome. I mean, I'm 215 pounds lighter than I used to be. So everything's easier and things are a lot less stressful being this weight versus when I was over 500 pounds. I mean, today I was kind of rushing to get the stream started here. I wasn't in the office all day. I was at where my new office is going to be. I had to put new flooring in the office, and I ended up spending the whole day spraying, not the whole day, but a lot of time in the afternoon spraying the walls and wiping the walls down because it just needed to be deep cleaned. So I did 100 times more activity today than I ever did 18 months ago. And that is a huge victory for me. And so that's why I really like to bring up the non-scale victories, because I think that that's where you need to see that joy, like you need to think about those victories and find out, use that to kind of keep you motivated and going forward. Let's see, Jacqueline, I don't know that I've heard of the plant-based Gabriel's 3-2-1 burger recipe. I don't think I've heard of that. But we might have to look into that. It's an excellent burger. Sounds like Jane's had it. And Pretty Girl's mom loves his recipe too. So we might have to look into the plant-based Gabriel's 3-2-1 burger recipe. It says it's nutrient dense and filling without the saturated fats of nut butters, which are extremely addictive for you. Yes. And I find that I have a hard time, like even when I say, like during stream, I'm saying I'm not going to have Ezekiel bread and nut butter tonight. And then I'm sitting there going, well, shoot, now I just took that off the menu because that was probably what I would have had tonight as a snack. And since I said I wasn't going to be doing that, I'm going to try to stick to that. So Stand and Hope says that her husband and her eat foods under 600 calories a pound, and then 1 to 2 days a week. He allows high calorie foods like his breads, nuts, dried fruits, eating fewer calories instead of eating less food. And yeah, like I kind of said that I'm having a hard time finding that balance, like I tend to eat that high calorie food and then just still eat the same volume. And because I definitely believe that through this, that I'm a volume eater. And if I could regulate the, if I could convince myself to have that and then shut it off, then I would have a lot better success, but I don't tend to do that. And really, I ate a large volume of food this past weekend, like aside from the crap that I ate at the movie theater. It was a lot of food this weekend. So yeah, I part of this whole thing, like that's, I wish I had better results this week, but next week, I'm looking forward to having a loss next week. I do not see any world where I gain weight between this week and next week. And, if I can get back under that 301.6 that I was, so that'd be 3 pound loss, that'd be nice. I made changes earlier this week that, if I had waited Monday, I'd have been a lot heavier than I am today. I'll tell you that. If I can cut down that eating, get rid of the nut butters, not have the cashews, and then stop eating at like 7:30 or 7 o'clock. I think that would make a big difference for me too. I mean, I think last night I had a banana. I think actually I didn't talk. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had a banana last night at like 9:30 at night. So Stand and Hope says it's really incredible the loss you have had to date. Yes, and I have to continue to look back on that. I don't have on my watch. I used to keep, or the app for my Garmin, I used to keep track of my weight, and it would have a graph, and the graph would be going down, and it, like that's a big thing is that I am in, and that's something that I think that this kills a lot of diets too, is that you lose this amazing amount of weight like I've lost so far, the 215 pounds. But even if if you lost 50 pounds or you lost 70 pounds, you start feeling great, and you start convincing yourself that giving yourself a treat is okay. And if you can do that, give yourself that treat, and be like, okay, I'm done now, I'm going to go back to the diet, then that is one thing. But for me, that's not been what I've done for the past 20 years. I've lost that 50 pounds, that 70 pounds felt great, decided to give myself a treat. And then that one treat I gave myself on Tuesday turned into another treat on Thursday, turned into another treat on Friday. And then by Saturday, I'm just treating myself every day. And it leads to a situation where you go back to your old habits and you start to let the diet slip because you were feeling good and you're in a much better spot. And and that's part of the 3-year challenge of this. That was something I've changed how I intro my show since I started this, but I talked a lot about why I chose to do a 3-year challenge. And it's because of that situation. It's because I have allowed myself to set these goals that, while they're great to attain those goals, that once I attained those goals, I wasn't at an ideal weight. I was still 300 pounds or 350 or 285. And I would have hit my goals, my short-term goals, what should have been short-term goals. And then I would just, because the diets I was eating were unsustainable. I think that's the biggest reason why I'm able to get back into this diet, is because I'm not doing the calories in, calories out, eating 900, 1200 calories a day. I'm eating full volume of food every day. So I'm not continually having to fight myself on allowing a cheat meal to slip in, because instead of having a cheat meal to slip in, what I do is I eat a second bowl of Spanish rice and beans for dinner. Because when I was on these calorie restricting diets before, having seconds was never an option. Having a full portion was barely an option. And so when you start to let yourself have a little bit more food, you start to notice your energy goes up, you start to see your mood improves. And even though you might not know it consciously, subconsciously, your body's kind of like, hey, that food, that extra food you ate caused, an increased dopamine response. It made your mood better. Let's keep adding that more food in. And if you're still making poor food choices, you're just eating a smaller volume. When you continue to make those poor food choices, but increase the volume, then you start to gain the weight back. And so I definitely feel like eating this diet has allowed me to have these occasions over the past now 9 months where I've fallen off the wagon. And I hate, it's not, I've made poor choices. I was never really off the wagon. I don't know, maybe I was, but it was a 1 hour or 2 hour time period. But I was able to go right back into eating food that was compliant and being satisfied with the volume that I ate. So that is my update for today. I wish I was under 300. I wish I'd have lost that 1.6 to get me there. And I will just have to work towards that again for next week. And I'm not worried about it. Like, that would be the definitely kind of what I've got to take away, that I would take away, is that it's a temporary gain, and this is just a snapshot of time in my whole process to getting to 300 pounds. And that's, another thing is that I've had diets where I set my goal to get under 300 pounds, and I got on the scale. I weighed 299.8 pounds. And that was the last time I was under 300 pounds for years, like that. I hit that goal, and then I celebrated with food, and then I celebrated again with food, and I celebrated again with food. and it went back to where I started, and then some usually. So, Stand and Hope, good. Thank you. I do appreciate everybody's support, and it keeps me motivated to keep going on. I don't, sometimes I wish I could hide. I mean, and I could make up excuses. I could find reasons not to weigh in, but that's not what I'm doing. I appreciate all you guys, all the support. I really want to show these great results and show you how awesome it is every week, but it's just not that way. That's not how life is. And when I get to my goal weight, I'm going to have weeks where, I'm 2 pounds heavier than I was than the week before, because your body fluctuates and it does amazing things. And, the amount of weight I gained though was really the most, and this happens if you go back and watch any of my weigh-ins where I've gained weight, I kind of have the same reaction where it's like, man, I did not eat 3 pounds of junk food, but having those pound of junk food or half pound of junk food caused my body to do silly things and caused me to gain 3 pounds. So that's where we're at with it. But I want to thank you guys for checking out the broadcast. Please hit the subscribe button, click on the bell icon, hit the thumbs up button. All those YouTube things help out that algorithm. If you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nobody that looks back and wishes they would have waited. They all regret not starting sooner. I'm in the same boat. If I would have started the first time I saw I was over 500 pounds in March of 2020, I would be 6 months further along. I'd be way below 300 pounds, because 6 months from now, I will be way below 300 pounds. I wish I would have started 2 weeks earlier when I decided to do this YouTube channel and I got everything, my focus went out, lined up and started for this. I wish I would have just started my diet at the time. I'd be 2 weeks further along and maybe I'd be under 300 pounds right now. So nobody regrets getting started. Get started right now. Don't fall for the 2 myths of moderation. The myth of moderate change. The idea that you're going to be able to continue to eat the junk food that you eat, but then you're just going to start adding salads to your meals or start eating a few more vegetables. It may work for some people, but for me, and I know for a lot of people, making that decision to change one time and not having to fight it makes a huge difference. So many times when you're trying to make that gradual change, before you get to making the complete change that you're planning on making, something happens, causes you to quit, causes you to fall off of the wagon that you're on. Also, the myth of moderate consumption. I fell for this myth this weekend, the idea that a little bit of something bad for you is okay. Your goal should be not to have a balanced diet in the traditional sense of having, when I think of a balanced diet, it means, okay, if you eat a bunch of healthy food, you can have a little bit of junk food. And that's not what you should be striving for. You should be heavily weighed on the health food side, and there should be no weight on the junk food side. Also, the idea that you can eat less food and still be satisfied. Both these myths, if they were true, every single person would be skinny, because we all have tried dieting in both those ways. We've tried adding health food to the junk food that we're eating. Instead of having just fried chicken, I'm going to have a chicken salad, I'm going to have salad with chicken on it. Or instead of eating this full portion, I'm just going to eat a half a portion of food. And it's just, in the long run, it's not sustainable. And again, if it was successful, there'd be a lot more people that are not overweight than there is now. Jacqueline says that we should check out the plant-based diet for beginners. He has an interesting testimonial. That's the Gabriel. I guess that's probably the plant-based Gabriel that you're talking about. And then, we will definitely check that out. Carrie says, next week you'll lose this plus more. I hope so. I really do. So thank you guys again for checking out my broadcast. I will be back live tomorrow, I think. One of these days, I have got to move my office, so I got to deal with all that. But eventually, I will be live, and but I should be live tomorrow. And we got a long weekend this weekend too, Memorial Day weekend, right? So I will probably do some talking on Friday about how to get ready for the long weekend. If anybody has any events coming up, or celebrations, it's tough to fight that. But anyways, you guys all have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow.